Guys, Mike Beltran has got a new shirt. I saw it on social media. I reached out and said, where do I get this shirt? HolitzerClothing.com. If anybody's interested, support Mike Beltran. Get a good-looking shirt. I got to tell you, Dana had to defend. And I was stunned that he had to defend this. Chimaev versus Leon Edwards. He had to defend to the media this booking. And there's some things that'll never stop being frustrating for me as a fan. It will never cease to frustrate me as a fan, getting on somebody's bandwagon, helping them, whether it's doing a commentary on them or having them on the show or just sitting down and supporting the show by pushing the buy button. But in some fashion, in some realm, in my own little way, same as you, supporting them and watching them come in like a Kevin Holland type. Anyone, anywhere, anytime, any weight class, any way you wanted. There's just this wonderful, awesome throwback attitude to a true competitor, which is what we truly want to see in sport. We constantly are trying to compare ourselves. And when I say we, I'm talking about the boys in the back. The locker room is constantly trying to fight with media and people's opinions to compare themselves and be looked at as equals to other mainstream sports. But in a million years, Eli Manning would not argue about showing up on Sunday because Joe Montana is standing across from him. That's too hard of a game. I need more. Equally, Eli Manning would not refuse to show up because he's standing across from a backup player, and therefore that guy isn't worthy of being on the field, and he doesn't want to go out there and compare game notes and numbers with a backup guy who hasn't been on Sports Illustrated as many times as he has. LeBron would not show up or refuse to show up or hold out for more to show up based on who he draws into the next week. No athlete that we would ever respect would do that. But the fighters, when it fits their narrative, trying to get more money or more attention or more acceptance, are happy to try to compare themselves to other mainstream sports, but then they don't want to do what these other sports do, which is simply compete. It's nothing else. It's just compete. So you get on a guy's bandwagon like a Kevin Holland, who's doing everything right with the right attitude, and all of a sudden he starts reading what they're saying about him and he starts to believe it. I have seen this more times, guys. I will tell you my own team. I came through Team Quest, one of the legendary gyms ever. Nothing single-handedly destroyed our team more effectively and consistently than the Ultimate Fighter. I am teammates to this day with one person who went through the Ultimate Fighter. And I've had over a dozen teammates and much closer to 24 have that opportunity. None of them came back. Somebody grabbed them. They were on TV and somebody grabbed them. Somebody got in their ear. You're a huge deal. Here's how you should be managed. Here's how you should be treated. Here's what you should be compensated. Here's what's not happening where you are. Leave Team Quest, come over with us. And they never came back. I bring that to you only because I had to see this firsthand. I saw these guys with a dream, the glimmer in their eye, and willing to work and earn and sacrifice. And they traveled the roads and they made it. They made it to a big promotion. They made it to television. They now get to go out and do what they had dreamed about doing. All of a sudden, they don't want to do it anymore. You can't get them back in practice. They're too cool for school. Instead of coming to practice, they're out at the club. It's one of these things. And you see it all of these different times. And I do not suggest for you that that is what Leon is doing in the least. Leon didn't do it. Leon Edwards gets full credit for stepping up and doing something. I'm speaking to the people that are pushing back and making Dana explain why you would do the booking. At some point in this sport, somebody has to do you a favor. None of you in this sport are where you are in this sport purely because you earned it. Somebody said yes. It might have been Coker. It might have been Dana. It might have been an opponent. It might have been a manager. There could have been horse trading and a deal made behind the scenes. Whatever it was, somebody did you a favor. And to watch a fighter get up there in the loft and pull the ladder up behind him and not want to do that same favor back for somebody else is painful to watch. There should not have to be any explanation within the booking from the promoter. You have a guy who is completely undefeated and has never left the first round. That is what his claim to fame is in Chimaev. That's it. You say he's overhyped, he's overblamed, you say whatever you want. I'm not talking about opinion, I'm talking about facts. He's been in there 3 times in 2 different weight classes. He's never left the first round. That is his resume. He's taken a competing resume against a guy who has not lost in 4 years. His last loss in Leon Edwards was to the current and sitting champion in Kamaru Usman. He's on an 8-fight win streak. Damn interesting resume versus a damn interesting resume in the same weight class. Why would Dana have to explain that? There is nothing peculiar about that booking at all. 8 wins in a row, 3 up, 3 down, never left the first round. Which would you rather have? I mean, it's a fair question, right? What would you rather? Would you rather be Leon, that you have not lost a fight in 4 years? Or would you rather be Chimaev, who just burst onto the scene, 3 up, 3 down, and never had to go a full 5 minutes? You can pick whatever one you want. What I'm trying to suggest for you is those are both pretty damn impressive resumes. That's what they're bringing to the table. That's interesting. That's compelling. That's star building. I will go back nonstop to the night that Daniel Cormier, ranked number 2 in the world, took on Pat Cummins. I will go back nonstop to Dan Henderson, who was a 2-division, 2-weight class champion, on his last fight, taking on what was supposed to be an ace in the hole in Husamar Palhares. Palhares was supposed to come in, have this tricky ankle lock, stretch Dan's knee out. Dan goes off to another organization, and Palhares picks up from there. There was nothing underhanded about that. That's what the business is. There's nothing underhanded about that. There was something very cool that Dan Henderson gave this guy who nobody had ever heard of, who never fought in the organization, never been on TV, and it's hard for me to pronounce his name 10 years later, of Palhares, an opportunity. But instead of it being viewed, that's how it was viewed by Dan. Dan Henderson didn't give a damn. He's been in there with the Rampages of the world. He's been in there with the Fedor Emelianenkos of the world, with the Anderson Silva. He doesn't give a damn if it's Palhares. My phone rang. This is what I do. Use me 3 times a year. This is one of those 3. And Dan Henderson will always be remembered for what he was, which was a diehard, gritty competitor. Not win at all costs, compete at all costs, which comes first, which is why people loved him. It's one of the reasons he had longevity in this sport. And it's the same mentality that Dan Henderson went out with that every fighter came in with. Every fighter came in with the, oh my God, give me a shot. I'll do it. I can beat this guy. I'll take on anybody. Yes, sir. No, sir. They all came in like that, but something along the way happened. And I saw it firsthand with my own teammates. Fly off to Vegas, do the Ultimate Fight. I never see him again. They never came back. We became acquaintances and friends over the phone. Never saw him in the practice room again. I don't even suggest for you they were wrong. Something happens along the way, and you forgot what it was that got you here. When I look at somebody like John Jones, who I do not care for, but I am also not ignorant enough to not appreciate and witness what is happening, I'm seeing a dirty, gritty competitor. He is so upset and so competitive about every damn thing. He got in a back and forth with a retired Khabib over a ranking that nobody even knows except for the 2 of them, but it meant something to him. And I respect that. And I respect the rest of the guys that will go out there and compete. You got enough barriers to entry. You got to be in a specific organization, have a contract with a specific promoter, then you got to do a specific weight class for an agreed upon of rounds under a specific rule set known as unified. None of those things, not one of them existed when I had my first fight. And I don't mean to get the guy going, when I was your age, we walked 5 miles to school. I'm not trying to do that, but there is a level of appreciation that I do or I do not have because I was there and saw it. And when these young guys come in and they're trying to show a disrespect to those who set the table that they sit at, it can be very infuriating. I could not imagine ever in my career caring who I fought. Never, ever, ever, ever would that matter. Let's say you're not built with that. You now are getting a weight class? We didn't have scales. It was my 4th fight in MMA when there was a scale. Didn't matter what you weighed. They just were going to weigh you in. I didn't even see a scale on the first 3. Now you're telling me it's an elitist club with a specific organization. Oh, and by the way, it's going to be in a specific weight class. Wow. Who would possibly give a goddamn who that person is if you're a real tough guy? Now you're telling me we're going to agree on the rounds. Oh, and by the way, the rules are going to be unified, sanctioned by I mean, come on. The toughness is out of the sport. You're either a competitor or you're not, and most of you are not.